Welcome back to the channel, and we are working on the Renli little side-by-side Chinese buggy that we are stuffing this 5.3 liter V8 in it with a Saab front wheel drive transmission that's going to make this thing fast. Garrett went ahead and cut out some stuff. He came out here the other day and we got some measurements, got some stuff for the motor mounts. So he basically took this stuff home. He has a CNC plasma cutter in his garage at his house, and basically designed everything in the program and cut it out. So we have some LS engine plate brackets right here. Already have one of them actually bolted on the engine right there. But then he has these motor mount things. So I guess we'll get these set up and then I'll kind of show you a little bit more. But essentially what will happen is this will kind of go on the plate. This guy will go in there. These little bushings will go in there, and these will weld on the frame. Something like that. And then we'll actually have a basically a whole setup to mount this thing in here. So
this is the upper transmission mount. So I kind of had to guess on some stuff just because there's a lot of elevation changes in the mount. So we're gonna cut out and modify a couple things here, put some bends in it so we can kind of pick up all the different locations without having a bunch of spacers and go like that. So start chopping this thing up and playing it out.
This is that piece that he's talking about right here. So you can see this piece is lower, this piece is higher, and that piece is just a little bit higher. And basically what we're gonna do is kind of get a piece of tubing, bend it going up over here, put a little mount or bushing, then go back down over there. Here's that rear mount. Garrett went ahead and got it all bent up in the vise, as you can see. Got that nice little step up, basically cut off that tab right at the top. And we'll just go ahead and weld this and then kind of make a little filler plate to kind of box that in and add a little bit of strength. But these are the little mounts right there.
Something kind of like that,
and then just weld that bottom one.
Yep,
right
weld
there.
it straight to the plate. Yep,
and then just have some tabs kind of coming off of that to a tube that either goes, you think, above it, or you think kind of.
I would put a little bit of an upward arc to it just to help load it into the chassis. If it's obviously gonna have to have a little bit of a loop to it to clear everything. If we just come with a straight loop out this way, it's gonna want to try to pull it down.
So kind of like up, over, and then back down. Yeah.
And then. So since we're doing tubes, these will be the two that pick up on that tube right there. They come across it, so it'll be something about like that.
Yeah,
it'll kind of fit wherever it makes sense, but yeah, that'll be the plan.
Guys, so Garrett got this thing all welded up, made that little plate last night, and looking pretty good on there. So now, kind of looking at bushing placement stuff. So, you thinking something like that?
I think that'll work. Yeah, might suck it up a little bit closer to the mount there. Just try to get seat clearance a little bit tighter, but I think we're good. Put a little notch in that bracket and go to town.
And then so we have the engine kind of leveled over here, so we're able to kind of move it around a little bit more. Yesterday we went ahead and got this thing welded in, or at least temporarily tacked, just to kind of give us some good placement, so that way we can kind of start working around everything else. But yeah, you can see that thing's tacked, kind of goes down here, kind of got a lot of options with the way that kind of did these mounts. So it honestly went pretty good. Just blasted off the powder coat, kind of stuck it on there. So I think it has a nice little bushing on the inside. Do the same thing over there. Once we have, you know, kind of that plate ready to go, we'll go ahead and do this one too. So have this plate bolted onto the side of the motor. So things are moving along. Guys, so this is the moment of truth. Will these mounts hold?
I think the mounts will hold. Will the tacks hold?
Yeah, the mounts should be fine. It's the tacks that are. All right. Okay, guys, so I think this is officially. You think this is the Freedom Kart now?
Freedom Kart is a fantastic. When I heard that, I laughed. That was couldn't have been better.
So check this out, guys. So for this engine mount over here, got that, what is that, 3/16 plate?
Yeah.
And then you went ahead and cut out all them little tabs. Basically cut these things out of a piece of tubing, and then basically just slid in some bushings.
Yep.
And then we got all new bolts, and you can see kind of brought this mount over here down to that guy, and then we just went ahead and used this piece of tubing just to come up right here. The back one is the one that I think is the most intricate. This one had the most detail that went into it. So first off, this thing, that plate had to be stepped up, had that weird little place in the back, got all that stuff welded nice. Went ahead, welded the same thing, same style mount on it, and then this piece of tube goes down over here and then down over here, so it kind of, you know, keeps the weight, I don't know, it's kind of like triangulated.
Yeah, that's a good way to
so
put it, yeah.
Is what it
kind of like a bridge, you know, kind of supporting that way.
Like a teepee instead of like just a horizontal like bridge, you know. So it's kind of held up, and this was the simplest one of them all, even though it looks really complicated. So just the way everything was, it just kind of bolted right, or not bolted right in, but we just kind of bolted everything together and then slid those little plates right there, threw some tack welds on it, and now we're good to go. So yeah, this thing is officially mounted in here. We have a little over a 1/4 of an inch between, you know, the frame and the engine over here, which is probably a little bit more than this thing should flex with those mounts.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, now it's actually officially sitting in here. I wonder how the suspension is gonna like this heavy old buggy, or not the heavy old buggy. So a lot of people in the last video were telling us that, you know, how heavy this LS is gonna be, and man, I don't think it's an aluminum block V8. Obviously it's a pushrod style motor, so it's a single cam. Everybody wanted me to swap a single cam in it, so this thing does have one single cam in it. But yeah, I mean, it's probably 50 pounds heavier than a K-Series Honda, but if you were to add like the turbo setup and all that stuff to a Honda, you'd probably be around the same setup, you know, around the same weight. Maybe we'll weigh these things. I have a K-Series sitting over there, and obviously I have the LS right here. Maybe we'll see if one of my buddies, I think he has some like car weight scales or something, bring those over and actually like weigh the engines and trannies with like a clutch setup and all that stuff too. So another thing that people were talking about was how we offset the engine over here, and the reason that we had to do that, we talked about this a lot in the last video, was because of this CV shaft right here. So that CV shaft basically needs to go into the front wheel drive transmission in the front, and I think we have plenty of clearance now. And then what we'll try to do to offset a little bit of the weight of the engine. Obviously, we'll have a driver over here most of the time, and then I don't know if any passengers are going to actually want to like go for a ride in it or not. But what we'll end up probably doing is putting like a battery somewhere in here, as well as a radiator, and then I'm not exactly sure what's going to happen with the fuel cell. So we're talking about maybe putting a fuel cell up front to put a little bit of weight up front, or you know, some of the other like the 4-cylinders that they do in these buggies, they put the radiator in the back, and then what they do is they put the fuel cell right here on the side, and then down here they put like the battery and the wiring and all that type of stuff. So I know lots of options, but this thing is officially mounted in here. Still need to go around and kind of buzz in all the tack welds and everything, but we wanted to just kind of set it down, make sure that that's how we liked it, and I think that's pretty.
Yeah, it's gonna be awesome.
Clear to send. So I think what we'll do is I'm waiting for the clutch setup. So I had to order a custom spec clutch for this thing. So as soon as that comes in, we'll basically pull the engine, everything out of it, and then buzz in, weld in all these little mounts, put everything back in. Should have the ECU, wiring harness, all that type of stuff. Close to that same time, need to figure out now, basically need to start figuring out CV shafts. So the one over here in the tranny, the transmission, so I think there's this thing that goes off of this side of the engine, but I think we should be able to just like stick this axle in there. I'm not sure if we should just cut it and then do like a sleeve.
Good.
And then weld it to this shaft right here.
If I'm not mistaken, I want to say the Saab axles are
Hollow. They are hollow.
So
you could almost just like
machine. Yeah, to just be able to use that as a slip tube.
Yeah, machine the inside of it, and then slip this in the inside of it, and then just weld that, and then we should be good to go. And that'll get us the rear one. And then what we were kind of talking about doing for the front of the transmission is kind of something, well, not really similar, but basically take this that goes into the transmission on the front side of it and almost weld like a normal flange for like a typical drive shaft with like a U-joint and stuff, just the drive shaft yoke to this side right here. And then we could actually take, essentially, this is our drive shaft thing right here. Unless this just wants to slide on.
Wouldn't that be something?
That would be funny. But yeah, this, how could we do that? Yeah, basically put a flange right here, and then instead of having this yoke right here, or this U-joint, basically have a U-joint that just bolts to a flange that's welded to this thing.
Yeah. We could also do something like a CV from a Porsche Audi.
Yeah.
That 6-bolt. Those are relatively available to do stuff like that.
Yeah, that would make a lot of sense, other than like welding on this thing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we might still have to do the same thing, but I think they might be ready-made from some different suppliers, where we basically cut off that CV cup and we weld it on to the end of it.
Do you think this drive shaft is gonna? That looks, I don't know. Looking at this drive shaft, it doesn't really look that beefy anymore.
Yeah.
So I don't know what's gonna happen first, if it CV shafts are gonna go, or the diffs, or whatever. But I figured worst case scenario, you could always put like an R200 out of a 240 or something in there, or like a Ford 88, you know, at that point, something like that. Something big. Yeah, so we're pretty much wrapped up with this thing for the day, and now what is actually coming to an end is our Midnight Purple Nissan S14 giveaway. That ends December 13th at midnight Mountain Standard Time, which is the Colorado time here. And for this last weekend, we are doing 5 times entries. So if you guys have not got entered for a chance to win this thing yet, every $1 you spend on MotionAutoTv.com or MotionAutoPerformance.com is 5 entries for a chance to win this thing. It's got a 400 horsepower SR in it. It's got AEM version 2, 1000cc injectors. It's got a Garrett GTX 2867R turbo, coil radiator, electric fans. We did the clear housings on here with a Morimoto projector lens. Paint job turned out amazing. We got the Weds wheels on it, the Weds Cerberus 2, BC Racing coilovers, tinted windows. We have, what else? Got the NRG seats, NRG steering wheel, just waiting on a radio bezel, but we just put in a Bluetooth double DIN stereo system in it. All that stuff works. So this thing is, yeah. This is basically your last chance, guys. So if you guys have not got entered for a chance to win this thing, be sure to head over to MotionAutoTv, the MotionAutoTv.com. Links will be in the description. But other than that, the Freedom Kart is making some progress. So got to order a lot of things, but at least she's mounted. So appreciate you guys watching, and we'll see you in the next one.